Welcome back to Canva Tips for Authors, and we're talking about book covers again because it's book covers month. Over in the Canva Tips for Authors Facebook group, I requested book titles and a little bit about a book so that I could make covers for them. So I'm Jeevani Charika. I write rom-coms and women's fiction as Jeevani Charika and as Rhoda Baxter, and I also sometimes design book covers. This is a fantasy cover I did for somebody. This is one of mine. This is a rom-com. This is a non-fiction cover about for a book about running, and that's another rom-com. As you can see, different vibe to the first rom-com. So today we're going to do a fantasy cover because Imogen Housen suggested Daughter of a Dark Kingdom, fantasy romance, heroine is the daughter of Hades and Persephone. And I asked for some comps, which she gave me, and they were Powerless, which has a sword, sort of gothic text, and the sword is interwoven with the background. So they've got some sort of ivy and some flowers. And the other one was Daughter of the Pirate King. Again, big text, not gothic, but just big. And again, the text and the back image in the background are interwoven. Okay, so good comps. So this is what I'm going to try and make. I said before, the thing that takes the time isn't actually making the image, it's working out what to go on it. So this is one of the ones that I came up with. This is the one I like the best. This is me messing around with the text, trying to work things out. This I also quite like, actually. Yeah, I tried it with flowers. I tried it with snakes. This sort of works. I don't know what I was thinking of there. Okay, anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a variation of this. So create a design. Because it's a Kindle cover, we're going to go with 1600 by 2560. And then we're going to write out the text. So I wanted to separate out the big D and the big K. So we're going to do water. Okay, so Daughter of a Dark Kingdom. Okay, and then we're going to select them all and change the font to Cinzel Decorative, which is a nice fantasy font. Okay, it's currently in bold. Does it look better without? Maybe it does look better without. I don't know. We'll do it bold. Okay, now what I want to do with this is I want it to look sort of metallic gold. Now there's no easy way to do this in Canva. You can use the Type Gradient app and put in gold style gradients and have a lighter one in the middle, which will let you do Cinzel Decorative because it's one of the fonts that's available, and it will let you get some sort of a glow. This is the alternative way, which is to use Magic Morph. Now, normally if I was designing a cover for somebody, I would use a completely different program for this because you can play a lot more with something like Paint Shop Pro to get fonts. But for the challenge, I have to use Canva. So let's go for Magic Morph, Auto. And we're going to do Gold Gleam. The more complex you make the prompt, the more nuance you get. But Gold Gleam is fairly simple. So let's go with that. Okay, so you get 4 options and choose one. I quite like this gold is slightly darker, so let's click on it. Once you click away from this page, you lose all of these. So if you find 2 or 3 that you like, just put all of them on this, on an extra page, and then you can cut and paste from there. So one of the things I like to do, because sometimes it's hard to see what it looks like, is to zoom in a little bit and I pop it on top of your original letters, just so that you can see it a little bit better. Okay, yeah, that looks quite good. It's got a bit of depth to it. Now the trick is, when I do the D, find one that matches and has the shadows going vertically. Although this one looks quite nice too. Let's try this one. That one might be better, actually. The shadows are more interesting. Okay, so now I'm going to go and do the same for all the other letters, and then I will come back. So we're back. Here is what I've done. As you can see, I've got various iterations of various things. And now the trouble is that if you try to edit these things that you made in Magic Morph, actually in the document itself, you end up having to edit. It takes you back into Magic Morph. So what I've done is I've saved it as a single image, a JPEG image, and then I've uploaded it back into here so that now it's just one big image. Yeah. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just chop bits out of this image and use it to make Daughter of a Dark Kingdom, this title. So let's, oh, what happened there? Control Z. No. Okay. Right. Duplicate and crop. Okay. And then move it to this page here. Let's make it a bit darker so that we can see what we are doing. Okay, so that's the word daughter, and then we're going to duplicate it again. And this one's not going to have the D on it. And this one is going to have the D on it. Oh, let's zoom in a bit and crop it a little closer. Okay, and this one is not going to have the D on it. Sorry, not going to have the rest of the word on it. Okay, that could be smaller. So what I'm doing is trying to get a little bit of asymmetry into this thing. Let's make the D bigger. There we go. Good. Now we're going to do the same with the rest. The word kingdom I had to split into two because you can't crop this to get rid of the little overlap. So I had to do them separately. Of Canva's being a bit slow today. It's probably my internet connection. It's not the greatest. Let's get them to be about the same size. They don't have to be, but okay. That needs to be trimmed a little bit closer again to get rid of the belly of the D. Okay, so this is what I've ended up with, Daughter of a Dark Kingdom. And I've grouped it together so that it doesn't move around. Okay, so we can move that to the center there. I Actually, let's just move that out of the way. Now we can do the image. So for the image, I wanted a sword. Let's go to elements, recently used. These are all things I've used in other projects, right? We got a sword. I'm trying to use as many free elements as I can. Okay, we've rotated it, and let's just make it much bigger. Okay, let's see how that looks with that. Okay, that doesn't look too bad, does it? All right, and then I wanted to make the sword look like it was gleaming, so I searched for gleam, and I found this. And you wouldn't think it makes that much of a difference, but actually it does. There, so you've got a gleaming sword now. Okay, right. This was the shadow that was creeping in. Let's have that while we found it. And then for the background, I wanted to have some pomegranate seeds. There we go, pomegranate seeds. Okay. Right, let's deal with the background first. Now I wanted it is pomegranate seeds, and it's quite obviously is. It's slightly lighter at the top than at the bottom, so let's just rotate it. Oh, don't go mad. 180, come on, 180. Okay. Because we want the darker bit to be at the bottom. Right, now we're going to fiddle with it a little bit. Edit photo. So we're going to go to adjust. Whole image, and I think we're going to take the contrast up a bit, brightness down a bit, and mess around with the highlights till it looks okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the transparency down. Oh, actually, before we do that, let's make sure the background is dark enough. Could maybe be a little darker. Select background. Make it a tiny bit darker. There we go. And put the pomegranates on top. And then we're going to take we're going to blur it. Forgot to blur it. Edit photo and oopsie. Blur. Okay. So that's the thing. We're going to blur it to about 25, 30%. Okay. And then we're going to turn the transparency down to about 50%. Okay. Right, let's send that to the back. All right. So you've got your sword. You've got that. You've got the weird flames reaching up towards the sword. And I wanted an octopus reaching its tentacles. Well, I just wanted tentacles, but the only one I could find was octopus. So, right, let's do that. Let's flip horizontal. Right, what we want is we want to get these two, just these two. We can't really crop it very much. So let's just make it big. I want it to be roughly like that, where it's coming out, but maybe let's twistle it a little bit. Okay. Get even bigger so that we can't see the rest of the octopus. Actually, having the octopus there is quite good. It makes it a bit darker, doesn't it? All right. So what we want is we want the tentacles to go behind, just wrapping itself around the pommel there. Okay. Right. Next thing we're going to do, we want it to look like smoke. So let's blur it. Do you see what I mean about it's knowing what to put on the cover? That is the tricky bit. So once you know what you want to do, then it's just a matter of figuring out how to do it. Okay, that looks sufficiently smoke-like. Now the next bit is tricky. If you were using a different program, you'd be able to use layers and you could still see the sword while you were doing it, but we're not. So I'm just going to have to do it by eye. Edit photo, magic eraser. You need Pro for this. And we need it to go sort of there-ish. It's not very responsive. Nope, that's not going to do it. That's the wrong angle. Canva keeps crashing on me, so this is like the third time I'm recording this. So bear with. Okay, so we take the tentacles, we duplicate them, and then we put the tentacles duplicate somewhere else so that we can find it later. Right, we go back to here, and then we're going into Edit Photo, and we're going to erase bits. If you were doing this in another program, you could actually see the sword, so you could see what you were erasing and where you needed to be, but with Magic Erase, you can't. So let's just take bites out of it, and then we'll check what it looks like. Increase the brush size. Maybe a tiny bit more either side, just to be on the safe side. Okay, right, let's go back and see what that looks like. Like I say, once you know what you want to put on the cover, it's just a matter of figuring out how to put it on. Okay, that might work. I need to lose a tiny bit more there. Okay, we could do that. This is a slow process, so I have speeded it up. Well, I've just skipped a lot of the waiting. Okay. That looks okay. Right. So now, do you remember the duplicate we made? We're going to get that. And we're going to put it on top so that they line up perfectly. And then we are going to go to layers. Position, layers. Right. So this is the one we want on top. This is the one we want at the bottom. So let's move this behind the sword. Where's the sword gone? There's the sword. Behind the sword. Okay. And let's just check it's lined up properly. Okay. And then we're going to go to duplicate this again because it's a little bit faint now because of the glow from the sword and all that. So let's duplicate it again. Move that also behind the sword. Move that also until it's exactly in the right position. There we go. So now it looks like there's tendrils of smoke coming up and grabbing hold of the sword. Let's make this a bit bigger and move it around a bit so that you can see the darkness encroaching. Encroaching on our symbolic sword here. And then let's get the letters that we made, bring them to the front, and put them on top. We could maybe mess around with the filters and make it a little bit brighter. Okay, well, that looks pretty good cover. We've got a space at the bottom there, so we could put in Amy's name. Imogen. Oh. And we'll change the font to, because the main font is Cinzel Decorative. You could probably do Cinzel without the decorative, and it'll look reasonably look like it matches. And we need smaller, smaller, smaller. Okay. And then if there's a series title or award-winning author, it could go above or below. I hope you like that cover for Daughter of a Dark Kingdom. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. And if you are an author who wants to talk to other authors about how to use Canva better, come and join the free Facebook group. If you want to give me a suggestion for a cover, again, join the Facebook group and find the thread and put it in there. And I will be doing more of these because I actually find them quite fun. If you have any other questions, stick them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. I'll see you next week. Thank you for your time.